All right, we are getting more and more professional every video that we make together, right? Give me a fist bump. Boom. So we had this ring light from when we got married. We filmed and live streamed our wedding in the living room, and I kept it. And I kept saying, oh, we should make videos together. And 2 years later, we're doing it. So putting this ring light to good use, right?
Right.
Like real influencers.
I guess.
Influence. Yay. So today our influence is going to be about the church. I think we last left off, and Brendan and I were just talking about how we're just going to keep it real, super informal. What you see is what you get. Because I was like, should we just start over and like, now that we have the ring light out, make like some really good videos? And Brendan said, no, we're just going to like jump in and be ourselves, which is exactly how we tend to be most of the time, unless Esmeralda is around.
Right.
Yeah. So when Esmeralda is around, we do try a little bit harder, but not much. So we were last talking about the church and what to look for when you are looking for a church. We were talking about how you said to look up the Nicene Creed.
Yes.
And that's the number one thing that you want to look for. The next thing is to look at the church's website and see who are the leaders. And of course, all of this can be done through going to the church and asking questions and kind of digging around. But I think most churches these days have a website where you can find this information, and that just saves a ton of time. Yeah. So.
Yes. And so with the Nicene Creed, it's, what's the old saying? In essentials, unity. In non-essentials, liberty. And in all things, charity.
So what does it mean?
So the Nicene Creed is the essentials of Christianity. Like, these are the things, the bare minimum you got to believe in order to be a Christian.
Okay, which
Right.
are?
Like
Recite.
Like the Trinity, right? That Jesus Christ, he came, he lived an earthly life, he sacrificed his life on the cross, and in 3 days he was risen again. I mean, there's all different aspects. I don't have them memorized.
I'm surprised you don't.
No, I mean, like, yeah, she said, well, do you want to sit down and have like a formal restart? I go, if we're going to do that, we might as well have a Bible study and get all this stuff out.
Maybe we'll do that
This is
after
just-
we make our response videos.
This is just the pro tips, the highlights. You know, like, I don't want to go through all that.
I think the main point and the reason that, so I came to Brendan this morning, I said, hey, would you make some videos for me? Because I've had a number of friends reach out. Just today I had 4 friends text me and say that they've been watching the videos, that they appreciate the encouragement. They either didn't know about what had happened to me, or they did know and they were kind of a part of the process in some way or another, and that they were just, remembering that story and what it was like and everything, and they were sorry that I had been through it. And those are people who have even left IHOP, are apologizing to me for the experiences that I've had. So I do think that there are a number of people within this situation who are going through a tough time, to say the least. For some, it's not just their church community is being sifted and shuffled around and dismantled. It's their friendships, their community, their theological doctrine, and their livelihood. Like, for a lot of people, this situation at IHOP and with IHOP is affecting so many different areas of their life that I would liken it in some ways to a true identity crisis.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a real
Yeah.
compassion for that because, like, that's tough.
And I will say
Right.
um,
Getting my box.
you have to have a certain level of intellectual honesty about all these, because for those who were or are a part of IHOP and you're greatly disappointed by what's going on, you have to take some level of ownership also. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, it's like you can either be in self-pity, you could be angry, or you could say, you could pray and ask for humility and wisdom and say, you know, what can I do? What did I do? What signs did I not pay attention to? What did I ignore? How can I use this to better serve my family, serve my church, and serve God more? Some of you guys were treating ministry as a church, and that was wrong. You know, like IHOP is not a church, so it cannot replace the church.
I think though, Forerunner Christian Church is a church, and
Yes.
and there's so much overlap. Dove, be careful. Wait, I have a big dog coming up to sit in my lap. Yeah, and there is a lot of overlap, and it's the same people who are leading the church who are involved in the university and in the prayer room to a large degree. And, you know, Mike Bickle, though he hasn't been on staff or leading per se, but there's some questions about that, for at least 3 years, I do think there has been a lot of overlap, and he did start a lot of these things, you know.
Right.
Like, I don't know, I guess, and I don't know all of the intricacies of it, but I do know that he's kind of credited with starting a lot of it, and I think that's relevant.
Ultimately, one of the first steps into healing is figuring out what was my part to play in all this. What could I have done differently? How could I? And it starts with humility, right? Humility and wisdom.
Right.
What could I have done differently, and what can I do differently now?
Yeah.
You know, and that's a situation you got to ask yourself all the time, right? And no matter what you're going through life, no matter what disappoints you, no matter what kind of conflict you have, that's just being honest.
Yeah. And that seems to be the core of the issues. But I don't want to dive too much into the issues or into the situation or the scandals because
Me neither.
I think that the point is really more about, at least the point that we're trying to get at right now, is really more about, okay, there are so many displaced people who have been invested in this ministry for so long. They don't really want to be there anymore because, you know, of all of this. They don't want to be under this leadership. What do they do and where do they go? And how do they do that?
Where do they go?
Like, I guess, where do they find their community after being involved in this community for so long? Does that make sense? Like, I think a lot of people, at least whenever I left IHOP, my experience and some of the emotions that I felt were, okay, I know I don't want to be a part of this church anymore, because for me at the time, and this was like around 2017 or so, I started pulling back, and by 2020, I really rarely went. I did take a number of classes in 2017 and 18, but I really tapered off a lot in going to church and the prayer room and stuff like that, because my heart was very hurt over issues that pertain to having a lack of community. But then at the same time, I felt like every time I would go to another church, it felt very like surface level. It didn't really feel like, it felt like it was more about a show and more about a presentation, and the messages that I would hear. Mike was a very good teacher, if we're being honest. Like, I think he was a very good teacher. That doesn't mean he was a good teacher in teaching true principles, but I think he taught in a way that made me feel like there was a depth and there was something to ponder, and it excited me to learn things that were different than what I had heard in the past, especially pertaining to the end times and things like that. You know what I'm saying? And I think for a lot of people, as they're recognizing, okay, I don't think I've fully been taught truth. I don't think that I've had healthy relationships. I need to find community elsewhere. What exactly does that look like? And what happens if I try 5 or 6 churches and I am left wanting, or I don't feel like I have a place? And
there's a bunch of things you did there.
Okay.
So, first of all, let's say if you are a Baptist and you only listen to Baptist preachers, you're going to have a very skewed perspective on what the truth is. You're only going to believe whatever the Baptists believe are true, right?
Yeah.
So, you should probably listen to some good Baptist preachers. You probably listen to some good Pentecostal preachers, charismatic. There's lots of good preachers. You should listen to all of them. Find the ones you like, the personalities you connect with, and listen to variety of teachers. Right? That's how truth prevails, is when variety of information gets sharpened with other teachers and leaders,
ideas.
So you can hear the truth and you can challenge your beliefs. You have to challenge your beliefs, because if you don't challenge your beliefs, you don't know which one's the truth and which one's a lie.
And that's a scary process.
It is.
Yeah.
But it's worth it.
So when you begin that process, so one of the things that Brandon told me whenever I was coming out of this environment was challenge your beliefs. And he really challenged me, not necessarily to consider Christianity as a whole, but is it possible that other people love Jesus just as much as you do? Is it possible that other people's worship or that other people's teaching is just as intelligent or just as thought-provoking or just as important as what you're used to? And I think that I really had to process a lot of pride and closed-mindedness to even be open to it. And then really Tres Dias, that's another ministry that we like to serve within. Brandon sent me on this 3-day weekend at Tres Dias, and that experience as a whole really changed my heart. Like, I think it healed my heart to the church. It reconciled my heart to the church. And I saw that there were people from so many different backgrounds.
Denominational backgrounds, environmental backgrounds,
theological,
socioeconomic classes.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, every single diversity you can imagine, including different Christian denominations and even atheists.
Well, kind of, but I mean, ultimately, everyone there does subscribe.
Everybody there is serving
to the Nicene Creed. Nicene, thank you. Nicene Creed, which is relevant because there are core values that everyone there serving agrees on. However, keeping with those core values, there is enough room for a vast array of expression.
And Tres Dias is a ministry, and people from different churches, tons of different churches in different states, different area codes, all come to serve in this ministry, right? And I think that's one thing that we kind of, American churches often go to church with a handout, right?
Yeah.
Whether it's for
What can I get?
financial benevolence, spiritual benevolence, or how can you serve me best, right?
Yeah.
Whereas that's not a biblical understanding of what the church's purpose is. And the church's purpose is a place for you to serve the body of Christ, right? That's it.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, we go there to get teaching. Yes, we go there to find community and fellowship.
But what's
but
the
ultimately,
reason, too,
you
for
should
that?
find a place to serve,
Yeah.
right? I mean, it's a place where you can call home. You have a home base where you're connected with a group of people. Does it check all your boxes? I doubt it. I haven't been to a church yet that checked every box I love, right? And nor am I interested in going and creating a church that checks all my personal boxes.
Yeah, because it won't check everyone else's.
Because it's so selfish.
And it's very selfish.
It doesn't make any sense. However, it should check the basic boxes. Like, it should be a Christian, which means it should line up with the Nicene Creed, right? Second, you should probably check the leadership. There should be the leadership. I mean, obviously, first of all, the pastor. Who's the head pastor, right? Is he held accountable? I think I touched on that.
Yeah. And how is he held accountable? I think that's relevant, especially in light of the situation at IHOP, because it could be argued that there was accountability in place, but because there were so many people involved, they could portray the illusion of accountability without actually holding someone accountable.
Right.
But if you were to go in and ask even a year ago, do you have accountability built in within this ministry? I think that they would have wholeheartedly said, yes, we do.
Right.
But now we're seeing the evidence of their definition of accountability. So what kind of accountability, I think, and how is that structured, and what are the consequences? That might even be a question worth pursuing eventually as you build relationships with the church. How is it handled when someone is out of line in some way or another?
Well, I would say each church is going to have their own structure of accountability.
Yeah.
How they feel defined on how they interpret the word to organize that, right?
Yeah.
And that's fine. But you getting to know your pastor and the congregation. All right, when you go decide if you're going to start church shopping, it's not window shopping. It's not, oh, I went one time, I don't like it, now go to the next one. No, you should find one and spend about 6 weeks, or I would say 4 to 6 weeks, seeing what they have to offer, attending regularly. And then after 6 weeks, you should probably go find a different church and do the exact same thing.
Yeah.
And another one until you're like, and eventually you'll find one that lines up. Obviously, if you have kids, you'll probably want one that already has an established children's ministry.
Yeah.
Right? That might be a good box that you might want to get checked. But
I think we should stop here because in the next video, I would like to talk about, elaborate on that and how we found our church and what factors went into choosing it.
Okay.
Because I think that that's somewhat relevant. Our way of doing that is a little bit different, I think, and it answers some of the questions of, Brandon's process, because I don't want to take credit for it. I was done with church. I was like, we are just gonna do church in our hearts and in the living room, and foster community. So I'd like to talk about that in the next video and kind of the story, because I think it could be of benefit to maybe someone who's looking for a church, and it could help them pick somewhere where they can find a place.
All right.
Yeah. So we'll stop here so it's not too long, and catch us on the next one.